anybody off who wants to speak. It's okay. We can stay in the ring. So with that being said, I'm asking everybody now to call as many people that you think can benefit from this, because I find it unbelievably. I'm just literally dumbfounded. I can't even begin to just. I can't begin to accept the fact that so many of our people are so excited about the little stickers that they're all leaving. I mean, I've never seen so many grown folks that are excited about the sticker. We'll talk about the sticker. I voted. And then I'm going to address some of the claims and some of the issues. Some of you all posted, you can't believe a preacher would have this particular view, so on and so forth. I can't believe a preacher wouldn't. And I'm going to talk about that. So many areas. I want you to get your thoughts together. Have you voted today? I want to talk to some people today. I want as many people that can call in as possible and talk to me. I want to know, did you vote? If you did, why did you vote? If you did not vote, why didn't you vote? I want to talk to the voters, the non-voters, everybody in between and all around, because today I want to keep it wide open. I don't want to even make it about voting and non-voting. I want to talk to people. I don't want to be part of this dualism, this whole idea that you have to be restricted to just one or the other. I want to talk to the minds of the people. But I do ask one thing of you. Those of you all who are listening, I have one request of everyone that listens to this show. I ask that if you would just please join me in this wonderful God-given ability we have, and that is to begin to think. I want us to think today. To get away from programming. I want us to get away from regular scheduled events. I want us to get away from the trained course of action. And I want us to begin to say, hey, have I been taking time to think? Am I thinking? Am I acting as I've been instructed through media? As I've been instructed through education? Am I acting as I've been instructed through propaganda, so on and so forth? Or am I going to make the choice today to begin to think? What they don't want you to do is think. And that's what I'm here today to do. And I have the Chris Dorsey here. He'll be sharing with us. I got some people that have been asking me questions to ask Brother Dorsey as well. Chris, they've already asked me, and I know you may not be ready yet, but some folks asked me, and I'm going to bring this question up. And I'll say this because some folks want to know about Chris. They say, okay, this man wants to do this and that. But they've asked me, and I will give it at the end of the program, they want to know how Chris feels about black people. And they thought I was afraid to ask them. And I said, well, why wouldn't you ask a question? If you have a question, ask. Quite naturally, I won't know until I ask him. I don't think he'll bite me if I just ask him how he feels about black people. Or does have any ease. There's some folks feel, quite naturally, they ask this question, feel that may be the case. Now, it is I really ask, and I'm getting on
to all that in a few minutes. But I want to talk to you today. If you're out there in Radio Land, let's just open up the program and see who's tuned in. We're not going to get issue just yet. I want to find out if you're listening. Those who are listening by way of radio 1450 AM, and also those of you who are locked in by way of internet, which is www.wclmradioonline.com. Again, that's www.wclmradioonline.com. Just click listen live. And if you have your phones, your smartphones, that's an interesting everything's smart now. You got smart cars, smartphones, smart everything, and very, very dumb people. But that's a whole nother topic for another day. I just want to say to you all that if you have your smartphones, you can get an app that's free. It's called the TuneIn app. And that TuneIn app will enable you to go right to 1450 WCLM is the call letters, WCLM 1450, and listen to us on your smartphones. And I think it would be a very smart thing for you to do. So, all of you all who are out there tuned in, I want to welcome to the show Chris Dorsey, and I want to make sure your microphone is on and everything is cooking over there. Test it again if you don't mind.
Test.
I don't believe you're on here. Make sure that switch is on there, Chris. Let's try it again.
Test.
All right, hold on 1 minute.
Testing.
I don't think you're on. I'm going to have to get one of the engineers, if you could just grab one of them. I don't think the mic is on. You may have to grab the other mic.
Okay.
I want to make sure that everybody can hear. If you're out there in Radio Land, I want to talk about voting today. I want to hear your honest opinion. We value what it is you have to say. We want you to call us and talk to us, especially those who are listening by way of Facebook. We want to welcome all of my Facebook friends. I tagged a few of you before I ran out of time. And I said, now we're cooking now. So, again, want to thank Brother Chris Dorsey for joining us. I do want to say to all of you all who are listening, please, call somebody, tag somebody, text someone, tell them to cut on the radio broadcast now. It's a great time to get in on a great discussion on this so-called election day. All right, Chris, touch the mic again.
Testing.
All right, there you go. Chris, how are you today, sir?
I'm doing well, thank you, and I'm always looking forward to Tuesday. Now this is an opportunity. We've verified all our claims. It's now up to everyone out there listening as to how they're going to react to things. But yeah, I'd like to just respond, I guess, about the question how I feel about particular type of people, and I would say I feel about all people the exact same. I would say most of my political focus has been on the city of Richmond, and I don't know, I guess in my
personal life, the people I have over to my house, I guess besides Glenn, who's sitting in here, he's the only other non-family member that's white I've had in my house since I moved in. Not that I've had many people, but
Right.
75% of the people are my friends of that are what others might consider black, but I'm not white, and I don't think any person is black. I think that people have different melanin levels and etc. But the thing is, people want to talk about persons, I should say. Let me correct myself, because people are something different than persons or citizens or loudmouths. They want to distract. So why don't people just say, what is he saying and what is he doing? And who would this benefit? Exactly what he's saying. Do you think, if persons out there, who I know, they know exactly what's going on and exactly what I'm saying, who would benefit from shutting down the prison industrial complex? Who would benefit from cleaning up the corruption, the obvious corruption that we've proved
in the city of Richmond government, it would be everybody who lives in the city would benefit, but who is that?
A large part of them, let me go ahead and say it, Chris, are people who have a darker shade.
Different melanin levels, sure. And also, this is all about identity politics, and I'll say if people identify themselves other than a people or a man lawfully, they are hamstringing themselves.
Wow.
So if we want to get into that's like the divide and conquer. That's the Davidian complex.
And it is distraction. Let me say that it is a distraction. The reason why I decided to entertain it, because there are some, Chris, who are looking for a reason to not support. So what I'm doing today,
Sure.
because anyone who knows me, and this is what I told the person who brought this up to me on yesterday, I said, well, I want to know that too. I said, I'm going to ask them. They said, well, I thought you would ask. I said, yeah, I'll ask. Because I don't want to be partnering with someone when we get to the finish line and we've already made it there, then you tell me at the end, hey man, by the way, I don't want to split the earnings with you because you're a little browner than I am. And so I'm saying to you, of course, clearly it doesn't have an issue to me. There's a lot of black people who I wouldn't dare share this mic with on a Tuesday to Tuesday basis. I feel the same way you feel.
Yeah.
And you come into my church as well. They've embraced you when you come in. Not only that, all kinds of folk who know me understand that I love, let me say this, I absolutely love and I'm in love with people first. And I'm also yes, from the definition standpoint, I'm a racist. I'm a racist because I do place a certain importance and level of effort to help my individual race. Okay? Like a pianist, their focal point is the piano. Not that I have a problem with anybody of color, because I'll be the first to tell you, I've been shot before and everything else. It wasn't a white man that shot me. It was a black man. So I found out that the enemy is the devil. And the devil doesn't have a color because he's a spirit. That's what I believe. Yeah. So I want to get that out of the way so that everything else that comes after, now we can move on to what needs to be addressed. Not because I don't want you to feel accused. I don't want you to feel as though it's an attack. But some people out there are thinking this can't be true. What is it with you? And some people, they feel like all white people are that way.
It's not me, though. It's not me. Pretend somebody else is saying this. If I am disagreeable, dislike me, and, get hung up on how you don't like the way I look or you don't like the way I sound, but the information, it's not about me. It's the information. That's why persons and citizens, they can never ever be free because they will not allow themselves to think freely, to open their mind and say, this is information that will be beneficial to me, and I really should prove this guy wrong, prove me wrong about anything that I'm saying. And I mean, this stuff,
Chris, you're exactly right. I found out, just being a pastor, I have found out, Chris, that people will focus on anything to not deal with the issue. Oh, he's a pastor, but he sounds so rough. He uses these rough words. I've had people who constantly go after me. And when they come after me and say, oh, he's short, oh, he's tall, oh, he's fat, oh, he's this, oh, his voice sounds funny. Never mind how good I look.
Right.
Let's talk about what I'm saying. And then I would like you to address the things that I'm saying.
He just left the poll. Tell him what
Okay, all right. Somebody just came in. You just left the polls. Well, Walter, welcome to the show. Y'all know we got real radio, so just jump in here. Chris, we're coming right back. Go ahead, Walter. What's going on?
I just left the poll over off of Broad Rock Road, and plus I was there on Commerce Road, and Mr. Brown's going to do real good. Also, Previous Trumbull told me to send a message to Mr. Brown that he will do real good in this one.
And she's supporting Dan.
Exactly. See how they do?
True colors
Yeah,
showing,
they'll
mate.
tell us to our face.
No, for those who are listening, because everybody can't hear what we're snickering about.
Yeah.
Why is that a funny thing about Reva Trimble saying to that President Brown would do well and all that? Why is that funny? Because
she is machine ticket out there for like Democratic Party endorsing Bobby Scott, Mark Warner, another person.
And she has expressed that
And
she
dance.
hasn't supported Preston in this particular election. She's supporting who?
She's supporting dance according to her party's wishes.
According to her party's
But she'll
wishes.
tell us. But she'll tell us personally. I hope you do well, or I hope you win. I've had a couple other people, Dwight Jones, say he hope Preston wins.
Reminds me of another racket that's going on. Reminds me of another racket called the Democrat and Republicans, which are all college mates, school mates,
Right,
buddies, hang out in the same home,
Sorority or
and all of
sorority.
that, and they all get their money from the same exact source. It's all wrestling. That's all it is.
all it is.
And so,
But
thank you.
still
So
ball
you
down.
made it to the poll. Was a lot of people there?
It's slow but steady turnout. Commerce Road is real slow, but where I was on Broad Rock, it was nice and steady. And it's amazing. A lot of people don't even know what's going on with the election. They know they saw Mark Warner on TV, and of course Bobby Scott, and somebody else. But they really don't know about the local. A lot of them don't know about the difference between Senator Warner and the Senate seat that Preston is seeking. So they just really just vote like some people say. I'm just voting because it's voters' day. And who's a Democrat?
And then you got them out, the Democrats out there supporting somebody they don't want. They tell you they don't want them, and they're out there
They
supporting.
tell you they don't want them, and then in fact, on one of his leaflets, where different Democrats in the machine expressed that this lady was voting Republican all the time, but masquerading as a Democrat, but yet they still supporting her in action.
Hypocrisy at its finest. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to get back. That was just a quick update from the polls. Listen, I want to take a minute. We have time. I want to take a minute to recognize so many people checking in by way of Facebook. And then I want to ask some people to call in. If you're tuned in today and you're listening, I'm going to get to an issue in just a minute, but I want to just see who's tuned in today. Give me a ring live in the studio at 804-231-7685. Again, that's 804-231-7685. Call me and say, hey, I'm listening. Hey, I'm tuned in. Hey, I was tagged. I'm checking this out. I'm interested in the show. I voted. I didn't. Whatever. I want to talk to you today. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, you're our first one of the day. Welcome to the program.
I'm tuned in as normal, Pastor.
All right. Thank you so much. We're going to talk about the vote today and get down to what is all this about. All right? All right. Thank you, sir. 804-231-7685. And then checking by way of Facebook, I do have Brother Sean Fields checking in, and I'll tell you the rest of that list in just a moment. Caller, you are on the air. Thank you for tuning in.
To that bad man they call Pastor Ross Scarborough. This is brother from Northside checking in.
Yes, sir. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing fine, just out here in the work van. I'm calling you, I'm back and forth, but I got you in on TuneIn.
Okay.
So I am listening in clear to you and Brother Dorsey.
Okay, everybody is in the rat race today. We're going to hear from everybody, those in it, those out it, those watching. It looks like a big ant farm. Everybody's on Facebook posting about going to vote, and they didn't say a thing about it yesterday. Interesting to me.
And there's a
Same here, and shout out to Brother JT because they did ask the question. They make him stickers.
Yeah, they did. They got stickers, and I think that's what's causing everybody to go there. If I had known, maybe I would have went. Anyway, buttons and stickers. Just buttons and stickers. All right, thanks a lot, man. Good to hear your voice.
and Snickers.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, y'all heard it. Go get your sticker.
She get with candy too, Snickers.
I voted anyway. Also checking in is Ashley Watts. She's tuned in and says, Pastor Rob, can you explain how things would be if nobody voted? Would things be the same? And that's an interesting thing that I want to talk about in a minute.
That's a good one.
Also, Toya AB saying, checking in. Lamont Fleming checking in from New Jack, New York City, he says. And Sister TT Barbara checking in. All of those people and so many more already locking in. I see some more folks getting on course. And I want to say welcome. Listen, if you voted, we want you to call in today. In a minute, me and Mr. Chris Dorsey is going to get into some real politics. We're going to talk about the politics that's going on. We're going to talk about the issues. And Chris has a lot to say about a lot. And so we're going to let him loose. But before I do, I want to touch bases locally with those of you who have went out or have journeyed out this morning to vote. Did you rock the vote today? I'm wondering, did you all show up? Did you show out if you didn't vote? I also want to hear from you. Did you vote? Want to talk about what you saw? Want to talk about why you did or why you did not vote on today? Caller, you're on the air.
That's Rob Norfolk checking in.
All right, welcome. All the way from Norfolk.
Yeah.
Welcome to the program, sir.
Yes, sir. Listening.
All right. Thank you for checking in all the way down in the 7 cities.
Yeah.
All right. 804-231-7685 is the number. Ladies and gentlemen, to vote or not to vote, that is the question we're asking. I'm here with Chris Dorsey, and Chris is going to let loose in a minute. We're just keeping him on a leash, so to speak, just for a few moments. But we're going to deal with a plethora of topics. We're going to go everywhere, and and yet again, he's going to expose some things you need to know, some things that I think that we need to form some movements that need to already be moving. That is, we need to be already on the move. Let's go to the phone line today, see who's listening. Caller, you're on the air.
What's going on, Pastor Rob? It's Big Shay checking in, man.
What's going on, sir?
I ain't doing nothing working, man. No, I ain't voting today.
Whoa!
No, I can't participate in something that's already fixed, man.
You say you didn't participate because you said you believe it's already fixed.
Yeah, it's already fixed, man.
Wow.
That's right.
Wow.
That's exact.
Wow. Chris said he said that's exact. Hey, Brother Shay, I'm hoping to hear from.
Shout out to Chris Dorsey too, man. How you doing, bro?
Greetings. Yeah, that is an exact statement. It's already
Already done
predetermined.
deal.
Yeah, no doubt.
Hey, look.
Y'all gentlemen, enjoy yourself, man.
Feel free to call back
Please.
with and share more in the discussion. I think a lot of folks are going to be listening, Brother Shay, but they're going to pretend like they're not. So
Oh yeah, you know that.
We're gonna get down to business.
Oh, they listening.
They
Yeah, they
looking and listening.
Yes, sir, and I love it all, and I want to say welcome to everybody. Love you all. Let's go. 804-231-7685. Let me see here. I got some more folks checking in. Looks like people are locked in today. Also, we have Marquita Kiki Carton saying checking in, and of course, Big Shay have checked in both by way of phone as well as internet. And he says, Pastor, they're mad today. Yeah, and some of them are upset that they blame me for the reason why things are the way they are. We'll talk about that. Especially you, Shay. You didn't get out and vote. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. We'll get to that in a minute. Did you vote or didn't you vote? You're on the air with Pastor Scarborough and Chris Dorsey. Caller, you're on the air.
Yeah, this is JT. No sticker for me.
You didn't get a sticker. You started that sticker madness today. Now, so you didn't vote. Any particular reason, sir, why you didn't make it down to the polls?
Like Big Shay said, I believe it's already been picked out, sorted out, and done.
Well, I don't know if I can listen to you because the other day you broke my heart when you told me that you thought the NFL was fixed. That hurt my heart. Somebody took Santa from me. Oh, Chris, don't do that. Come on, Chris. Chris, don't do that.
Chris, that's my bad.
It's been done in the past that there's so many different ways to manipulate the games. It's been shown. There's so much money on the
I'm
line.
going, bro.
It's been documented. So why would it stop now? It's going on every week, of course.
Wow.
I mean, it's the most likely scenario and the provably true.
And I guess at this point, after going this far, I'd be a fool to turn back and say that you're probably right. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go. 804-231-7685. I want to take about 5 more minutes just to take a few check-ins. Some new callers, some new folks tuned in. Maybe you're tuned in because someone told you to cut it on, to turn us on and listen to this show. If you're there, just call in and talk to us today. We want this show as interactive as possible. We want you all to share with us. Did you vote? Did you make it to the polls? I like to say this. I didn't make it to the polls. Well, I wasn't trying to make it to the polls either, but I didn't go to the polls because I refused to put my energy into the polls. I'm not putting this electricity, this energy into your polls. By the way, here's a little tidbit of information. What is a poll? The last time I checked, a poll is a survey.
That's right.
Think about what you're saying, ladies and gentlemen. I think, Chris, some of the folks are going to be quiet until we stir them up to call. So we better get this show started real good. But I think that we need to look at the fact that a poll is a survey and that it's not an actual depiction of the popular beliefs or the popular desires, so on and so forth. It's actually a survey, a very rough survey of what they would like to portray the people believe. So I want you to think about when you go to a poll, what are you actually doing for those of you who have such strong convictions about being there. I just want to talk about that. And then we're going to get down to everything from voter fraud to the rigging of the machines. Because the machines, even the electrical devices, the electric balloting is no different than when folks go to Vegas and they hack the machines. It's the same, basically the same concept and the same principle. So if you're out there, the phone lines are open. We're going to take a couple more minutes and then I'm going to dive in with Chris Dorsey. 804-231-7685. I want to talk to you. Have you taken time today to go and vote? Did you vote? Are you a voter? Did you make it down to the polls today? Or maybe you didn't. I want to talk to everyone today. To vote or not to vote is the question. The number is 804-231-7685. I want to talk about some of the things while I'm waiting to get you all warmed up. Feel free to call and put somebody on blast. And maybe somebody's on Facebook talking greasy. I want you all to call in and put them on blast and say, why aren't you calling today? I want to hear from you people who have everything to say behind the walls of your Facebook page. Now I want to hear from you all today. If you believe what you believe and you're standing on what you believe, we want to hear it today if it's worth hearing. Caller, you're on the air.
Yeah. You asked me a question. I'll be voting today?
Yes.
Yes, I voted.
All right.
And I have a question for you and your guest. Maybe you can answer this.
Yes, sir.
You heard of the Koch brothers?
The Koch brothers.
Sure, yeah.
Okay, let me finish the question first before you answer. Okay, the Koch brothers are spending hundreds of millions of dollars to keep people from voting. Right?
I didn't know that, but go ahead. I'm listening.
All right, could you answer let your guest answer, and I guess you may get an answer.
Okay.
Can you explain to me why they spending hundreds of millions of dollars to keep people from voting, and you are doing it for free? Okay? Can you answer that for me?
All right, Chris, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I can absolutely do that. The Koch brothers, they are billionaire alleged activists for conservative Republicans.
Yeah.
They're kind of like the George Soros is to the Democratic party. He's like the manager, professional wrestling manager of the Republican Party, and they are the two that stir up such animosity, just like George Soros does for right wingers. The Koch brothers do for left wingers. It's all a fraud. What happens when you vote? What happens when those that the Koch brothers are opposing get put into office? Your taxes go up. I'll speak for myself. I shouldn't speak for anybody else. The value of my wages goes down. The value of my property goes down. The price of my water goes up. The pollution of my air goes up. The wars that we fund and pay for, the bill for that keeps increasing. No matter who wins, things keep getting worse. And no matter who wins, whether it's somebody who says that they are a Republican, which they're certainly not by the definition, or a Democrat or Democratic, which these people are certainly not by the definition of either of those words, no matter who wins, it's the same thing. When Barack Obama became president, what did he do? Who did he put in charge of the institutions that control the United States government? The exact same people that George Bush had in charge of the Federal Reserve Bank, Ben Bernanke, and the Department of Defense. He reappointed the same person. The same policies keep going on. There's absolutely no difference.
I mean, basically you're right. What I'm saying is, it's a motive here somewhere. If a man will spend hundreds of millions of dollars to keep people from voting,
He has countless money.
What you're saying is it's important to him.
it's a reason for
It's
that.
a reason. Now, let me ask you this, sir, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Would it be fair to say that we can only speculate as to what the true motive is behind why that man or those group of brothers are spending that money?
Yeah, we already know.
Okay. Well,
Control the country.
okay.
From a Republican point of view.
All right. Well, let me ask you. I think that's
He's so
I think
far.
that's a bit far.
Yeah,
I think that's a bit extreme. But I appreciate your opinion. Let me ask you a question before you get off the air. I want to thank you as well for sharing. why, if you don't mind me asking, why did you vote today? If you don't mind me asking, what was it that helped you to? Why is it you found it important to get up out of your rest or whatever you're doing to
Put
vote?
it bluntly, the lesser two evils. That's the reason I voted.
Thank you. You know what? You couldn't have said it any better. Applaud him today, ladies and gentlemen. He said he picked evil. That's what he said.
That's right.
Ladies and gentlemen, did y'all just hear what he said? He picked evil. Never mind the lesser. He picked evil.
Right.
And brother, I want to appreciate that honesty, and I hope that you will continue to conversate with us. You're more than welcome. Thank you. Will you finish your response?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Perfect.
Yeah,
That was a
that's it.
segue right into where we are today.
Evil.
I picked the lesser of two evils, which is picking evil.
Yep.
Now, I'm not going to make this into a religious. I'm not going to turn this into a religious conversation, but I'm going to say this. I certainly hope that you don't call yourself a follower of Christ or anything that's good. Whatever your God is good, because you've already subscribed that you are going to pick evil over that which is good, which is probably why we as a people are in the shape we're in.
Yeah.
But we'll go back to there in a moment. We got another caller. Caller, you're on the air.
How you doing, Pastor Scarborough, Sarah Bradley?
Yes, sir.
How
Welcome.
you doing?
All right.
Y'all doing a great show as usual. Brother Chris, as usual, you're always on target. I just want to
Thank
lay
you,
this
sir.
out because I'm in agreement with the analysis of the democracy, Republicans and Democrats. Y'all know me. I want to ask you, both you, these questions, and I think that this can take us to where y'all know I'm trying to go in reference to integrity. I'm in agreement that we have elected folks that get there and do what they're going to do. So it comes down to us electing someone that we will have the confidence that's going to do what's needed and not change up behind closed doors. When I listen to you, Brother Chris, you seem like somebody that would be that way. When I listen to you, Brother Scarborough, you seem like somebody that would be that way. So my point is this. When we have those like yourselves that would go and do it, but choose not to run, how do we move forward? Now, I'm supporting Mr. Preston T. Brown. I understand y'all conversation pertaining to the process. I'm with that. I'm in agreement. I'm just in the belief that when we get folks like yourself and Mr. Preston Brown down at the General Assembly, then we can get the laws that's going to benefit us, not corporate America. Just want to throw that there for y'all to maybe dialogue on if you want to. But again, your integrity is what's going to carry the people. So if you have the integrity and we elect you, then we expect it to be done. And that's what we have to look at. Not a party, but an individual that we will have confidence will do the things that they say they're going to do. And that's what we lose it. We go be a party.
Brother Bradley, let me say this. As always, thank you and welcome again. Let me say this, and I want to say this, and the reason why I want to answer first is because this is a personal answer, and Chris can give his own idea how he believes and how he, operates, I guess. Let me say this. I did not vote. The reason why I did not vote is not because I don't believe that there is nothing we can do locally. Of course, there's something we can do. I just happen to be a supporter of Preston Brown, but I'm not in the. I don't fit the criteria, and I'm not able to vote for Preston Brown because he's not where I live.
Thank you.
Now I want to make that clear to people who are listening. If I were in that, if I were able, because of my living situation, to vote for Preston Brown, I would maybe I would have no question. Let me say that I would have no question as to would I go and vote for Preston Brown over Delegate Dance. That's without question. First of all, I don't believe in career politicians. I don't believe in the career politician. I think that's a major issue we have, especially in the city of Richmond. Politicians who are in family lines and in the machine who we keep picking 20 and 30 years to do absolutely nothing, and nobody takes a moment to say, hold on, even if I don't know what's going on, I know that I don't like what's going on, and there's no way I'm going to give someone who's already been here 10 years, 20 years, another term. So sometimes, if you're going to make a dumb vote, if you're going to make a vote of ignorance, then at least let it be based upon the fact that I'm willing to try something new. And so, because I'm tired of what's going on old, okay? So I want to say that to everybody. I do fully support Preston Brown. I fully support him, and I encourage those that do believe in voting, if you're going to go there and there. I've also stated in the past, this is me, that I am a much more I'm much more supportive of the off-year elections. I am. That's just me. Not that I believe in any of them 100%, but I believe you have absolutely nothing to do with what's going on nationally. Nothing. I do believe that if they don't rig up the votes, which is another major concern, if they don't fix it, then I do believe that if we can get a Preston Brown in there, like we have a good person like Mamie Taylor, some of the other ones, let me just stop there, then they're going to buck the system. The same as I saw Chris Dorsey run. And one of the things I said was, if y'all not going to give him ear on anything else, give him ear on the fact that he's going to come in and not be the same mess. Not bring the same foolishness back to the table. Let's give an ear to someone who at least bring in a breath of fresh air. So I didn't mean to go that long about it, but I just want to make it clear to you all today. First of all, for anyone that's thinking, I'm not against voting. Listen, the word voting, you can vote on anything. We can vote on how long we're going to be on today. Voting is a great thing. I'm not against voting. I'm against voting where it's fixed. I'm against voting where it's rigged. I'm against voting where they're giving you two possible choices, which, by the way, you're looking at two wings, right wing, left wing, connected to the same bird that has the same brain. I'm against us looking at these two choices, and these two choices, by the way, after all, when we say we make this choice, we say we've picked the best person to run our country. Well, if that's true, what about the other 300 million candidates that we never got to choose? I'm against the fact that they don't care who wins, because both of these, if you really want to get down to the meat of it, they only pick small topics like abortion. Small topic. When I say small, I'm not saying that abortion is not a major issue. What I'm saying is relatively small. They pick certain topics to piggyback on. And then they cause you to think that there's a major difference when the true topics that they care about are things that they all agree on.
That's right.
And so I'm going to turn it over to...
I'm going to get off and listen because y'all are on target, and I just want to say this right quickly. Thank you, Brother Scarborough, Pastor Scarborough, for acknowledging and elaborating on your position on voting and how you would vote for Mr. Brown if you was in the district and whatnot.
Absolutely, I would.
It's all about that integrity, and you're doing that. And Brother Chris, keep doing what you're doing because we are on that same journey, and we're finding that we're labeled as angry black people. And, well, you're white, but you know what I'm saying. The point is that our voices are being heard now. You've made a major impact then at City Council by exposing the process and the procedures that's going on. Mr. Preston Brown is doing the same thing, and we'll be doing the same thing at the Senate by now exposing it on a higher level than what you've been doing with the same camera on 12, 6, and 8 showing that we're not getting a job because procurement has been stacked against us. But now we have a voice that's going to expose it. So y'all do what you're doing, and everybody get out to vote your conscience. But there is a third party, and that is an independent party, which means you're independently thinking.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chris, please, let's hear what you have to say in reference to responding to Mr. Bradley. Shout out to Mr. Bradley.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bradley. I would say, in regard to voting, like everything else that I'm talking about, it's not conjecture that I'm saying. When I'm talking about the votes being rigged, I have proof, and I have proof from the Richmond Registrar, the Richmond Electoral Board, the manager of Virginia Elections, and I have emails from them that prove this, that verify this. I mean, the media has reported on it. They kept it pretty quiet, but they verified it, and it's rigged. I don't want to participate in a rigged system that I know is definitely rigged. Maybe if I didn't know for a fact that there were 10 to 15,000 missing votes that just vanished out of thin air just in the city of Richmond in the 2012 elections, or
Wow.
that they allegedly found a voting machine days after the election, which made one candidate win the attorney general's race against another candidate. I mean, it's just nonsense. I'm not going to believe nonsense. And as far as Preston Brown goes, of course. I mean, I've dealt with Preston Brown, and you know, he's an honest person and he's an honest people. And why wouldn't we have somebody, you know, represent us like that? I certainly support that idea, definitely, without a doubt. That being said, you know, the system is so rigged, and the voting is not going to fix anything. We need different solutions. We need to do a lot of drastic things, but voting is not going to solve anything.
And that's the part
It's
that
already too far.
they
gone.
hate to hear you say that, Chris. I have a caller here. I'll come back to that point because I think it's interesting you just say that, because that really puts a dagger in the hearts of the American people that you just said voting isn't going to fix anything, and I concur.
It should light a fire under the American people. It might put a stake in the American citizens, or the American persons, or the American sheeple, but not the American people, because the American people, that is where we thrive throughout history. It shows that when we have a tyrannical government, then and the law is tyranny, that we go outside of, well, we don't go outside the law, because the law is the Constitution, and the Constitution says the people are in charge, and when they have a government that's out of control, then they got to abolish it. It's that time.
Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, you've been holding. Thank you for tuning in. You're here talking to Pastor Rob with Chris Dorsey.
Hey, how y'all doing this afternoon?
All right, how are you?
All right, I was calling about Preston Brown running for the Senate.
Okay.
And I've never met him personally, but I've seen things go on in the community, and you know he's there, and not just because of it. And a camera don't even have to be there, but I've seen this man be out in the public. I look at what he's done with his radio station, the information he allows y'all to put out.
Yes.
And don't think it's not
Amen.
appreciated, because it is. I mean, it really is. I've learned so much listening to you. Earl Bradley he should be teaching a college somewhere. that man is a good teacher, and I just feel like if you don't want Preston Brown in there, what do you want? This man feels, I think he loves his community. I think he is serious. I think he's true to what he's doing. Why wouldn't?
I agree.
There's no excuse why we wouldn't vote this man. He's not in my district.
Right.
But at the same time, I grew up in Richmond. I grew up in that area. I volunteered in that area of the Tennessee. What do you want?
I think the fact that
I don't understand.
I think the fact that he allows for people like Chris Dorsey, and then gives us the extra time without charge to say this kind of stuff, I think that it would be an oxymoron for him to go in there and then jump in bed with the stuff that we're exposing. So I believe that I believe that he's already given us a good portion of his heart by even allowing this, because he can be blackballed. This stage can be taken right from him. I mean, there's a lot of things that can happen because of the information that's been coming out of your mouth, Chris Dorsey, and not to mention mine. Brother Bradley is saying a lot of stuff. His comes out a lot nicer than ours, but nonetheless, there's a lot of information. I think you're exactly right, sir, which is why I tell people, if you're going to do it, and you're in that particular district or what have you, I suggest that that's what you do, especially locally.
Exactly, man. You got a lot of people down there just getting a paycheck, going to dinners and rubbing elbows together, but they're not doing nothing, man.
That's all of them.
With the youth football program in the city,
Right.
and we have to practice in the dark
Wow.
because the city they haven't put no lights out. I've called down recreational parks, or we'll have to talk to Public Works. People email me back. You don't never hear back.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna call the news and put them on blast soon. It don't make sense, man.
Wow.
This is what we get. So why wouldn't you want a man like Preston in office? You know, I know it's dangerous. I can tell it's dangerous.
Right.
I think a whole lot of other people do too. But you got
He's fighting the
somebody that's
machine.
jealous that he's gonna do a good job, and hate to see it.
Let me say this about Preston, and then that's really a segue into anyone who's trying to do something for the people. When Chris was trying, whoever, let me tell you something. They will do whatever they can to make sure you don't get an opportunity. Whatever it takes, they're going to do whatever they can to railroad. They're going to do whatever they can to fight you, to make you look bad. They're going to paint a picture as though you're barbaric or you're crazy or you know. They're going to do everything that it takes. And I'm going to tell you this. Preston, and here's my only thing, I want to address this too, because someone called about an independent, and matter of fact, Earl mentioned an independent. I'm going to say this is my opinion, my humble opinion. I know and I believe in the independent. My only problem with the independent is this. I don't believe it's possible for an independent to win, at least on a national level. I don't believe you'll ever see, no, let me back up. I don't believe the independent can win the presidency. Let me tell you why. I don't believe so because, first of all, it's about money. And the money is backing both of those major, the ass and the elephant, right? That's what it is, the ass and the elephant. It's backing those two. So when you have somebody, you're not looking at people who are getting up and stating what they believe and taking the people to a good belief system and policy. You have people who are standing with corporations. And these corporations are putting their money behind these candidates because really all that's going on is a contest in lobbying, just in lobbying. And they ought to be standing up there. I'm telling people all the time, when you look at these candidates, they ought to make them wear a onesie. You know, like one of those one-piece suits? And it ought to have everybody who put money into them, they ought to have a logo and a symbol. So we can see just really what's really going on. Otherwise, you're fighting a battle that's uphill. I don't believe that many of our independents have a chance. We've had other people on the ballot. When Romney went against Obama and so on and so forth, there were other people. In the past year elections, there were other people, but we just didn't know who in the hell they were.
Exactly.
Because the television is owned by these people who are putting this choice in front of us. We as a people, sir?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Go ahead.
I vote Democrat most of my life, well, all of my life. And I'm conservative on some things, but I don't believe in gay marriages. That's just how I was brought up. I don't believe it. I'm conservative in ways like that, but I'm going to vote the needs of my community. I want to see the little children in my community grow up and have a chance. You see what I'm saying?
If you're going to have a chance,
I just want to vote for community.
You're going to have to stop voting, and you're going to have to take what's yours. And I know that sounds crazy. You're going to have to stop voting, and you're going to have to get together with groups like sitting in this room. The ones that are sitting in this room, it doesn't take everybody. It just takes more than Chris. You know what I'm saying? Let's just be honest. If we can form a group and get as many people who think like you do, who just really just want your children to have something better than what you had, and we have people that are willing to stand behind that, that is the beginning of change. Not a vote. The beginning of change starts with me and my house. So, hey, brother, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. 804-231, Chris, back on you. It's back in your hand. Let me give them the phone number before you do. It's 804-231-7685. That's the call-in number today. Did you vote? Why didn't you vote? If you didn't, call me and check in. Also, checking in by way of Facebook. C. Arnie Hubbard saying, checking in. Pastor Rob, thank you, ma'am, for checking in. Also, Adrian Lance McGlockton is also tuned in and checking in as well. Again, phone lines are open. I'm waiting to hear from you today. You people that are saying you're blaming us, saying that we don't have a right to complain. I posted on Facebook today, and I want to get somebody's thoughts about this. I don't want anybody else to say, oh, you don't have a right to complain if you don't vote. I heard a very funny but a very wise comedian say these words. Those of you who go out to vote, you don't have a right to complain.
That's right.
Because according to you, you have the power to put people in office. That's what you say.
Yeah.
Which is why you vote. Well, if that's true, then when are you going to wake up and realize you have done a horrible job thus far?
Yeah.
Therefore, you are the ones that I ought to be complaining about, because while I'm at home relaxing, by the way, I'd rather watch a rerun of MASH than go vote. I'm not listen to me. I'm not a part of the homosexual agenda. I'm not a sissy by any trait, but I'd pay my toenails before I would go and I would vote. I want y'all to hear me today. Chris, go ahead.
All right. Just real quick, I do want to touch on what you just said about if the voting is something that is valid and legitimate. It shows that Americans are the absolute worst voters of all time. But I know that it's not legitimate in any way, and it's a ruse. And again, when we make these claims, we have verified information, verified documentation that cannot be refuted. It's irrefutable. And I also want to touch on something that Pastor Rob just talked about, and that is this. We really must acknowledge that the system is broken in every way, because we verified all that information in the international banking cartel series that millions of people have seen it on YouTube and on Press TV. We've verified the federal government, the state government being fraudulent and working against the best interest of the people in every way and being criminal. And the fact that we are living under a complete tyranny, and that cannot be refuted. Now what we need to do is we need to get together and say, what are we going to do about this? Are we going to continue to be, slaves to the system? Or are we going to stand up and are we going to do something about it? Is the planet going to be destroyed? Are we going to allow our country to conduct another false flag attack like 9/11 or the Boston bombing or any number of all these other, alleged shootings that are going to try to, take our freedoms away and to scare people into just sitting idly by while they support abject evil, as the man who voted eloquently stated. He voted for evil. He's not saying, one's slightly, not as bad as the other. He says it's the lesser of two evils.
And they give you two choices. We got to call them, but they give you two choices, Chris. And let me tell you how funny this is. I mean, come on, y'all. Out of all the possible people in the world that could do something and lead this country, they give you two choices, right? And they say they give you the illusion that you have the ability to make a difference by choice. Well, listen to me. A monkey could make a choice of two. I mean, we could flip a coin today. Mm-hmm. We can literally flip a coin and make and let me tell you, that's what I would have to do. I would flip a coin before I make a decision between two of the same. Go ahead, brother.
Well, I would like to say that if you just did a experiment with a monkey and doing 50%, I would say it would be better, because the persons are manipulated so much.
Right.
And if it were actually just a monkey hitting a button and it was just that simple, we wouldn't even get into the fact that they can flip the votes as somebody's voting. They can switch the votes around. That we verified that votes disappear by the tens of thousands, and that there are dead people by the tens of thousands voting in all sorts of different jurisdictions, and the fact that the balloting process before you even get to the voting is fixed, and then the publicity from the media is already decided. It doesn't matter.
Hold that thought, Chris. We got a caller. Hold that thought. Caller, you're on the air. Thank you for tuning in.
Pastor Scarborough, my friend, this is Gregory Day. How are you, sir?
Welcome. Yes, sir. How are you?
Yes, I just wanted to chime in and let you know I haven't forgotten about you. I'm listening to your radio show every Tuesday that you're on.
Wow.
I haven't been able to make it back.
That's okay.
But we promised you something, but we still will have something for you when we get there.
Never mind that. That's all right. Come on.
But I do want to shout out to everyone. Please go out to vote. I haven't voted yet, but I will be voting when I get off work today, and I will cast my vote for who I support. Now, I can't vote for Preston Brown, but I wanted to go out on the air that we need to support Preston Brown. Please, people, go out and cast your vote
Brown. He is going to make a difference. I've been to some of the events that he was at. I've been to his speaking events. I made sure I was in the room with him. The man speaks sense, and that's all it takes. So I'm hoping that people will go out and they will cast their vote for Preston Brown. Now, on another note, Pastor Scarborough, I need to get in with you. I haven't been off from work because I don't know if you know this or not. My dear friend, Mamie Taylor.
Oh, I was talking about it earlier.
Was put under attack yesterday,
Yes.
my friend. The news media, we need to do away with the myth. She has a lot of support. I've seen people coming out supporting her, but it was all about traveling. And she has not done anything unethical. The school board approved all of her travel. She requested the travel. The school board approved it, and Glenn Sturgeon is the one who pushed to have a budget for travel for the school board. Now, what we haven't said on the news is Dr. Benton, who's the superintendent, just got back from China with two of his administrators. Just got back from China. And we have our chairman, Don Coleman.
Why
who
didn't I
just
knocking on
came
his
back-
door?
Who just came back Sunday night from New York. Nobody knocking on that door.
That's what I'm saying. Why didn't I knocking on his door?
And we need to get that fixed.
Let me say this, because I want Chris to touch what you're saying, because we were actually having this discussion. The only reason I'm not talking about it right now, before the show even started, I came in here, the first thing I said to Chris Dorsey, as well as Preston Brown, is I need to do something about Mamie Taylor. But I didn't want to do anything until I was instructed. I understand that I don't want to do anything that can hurt anything. I only want to help. And so I was quiet, but I sent her a message. I called her personally last night to tell her, and I'll say this publicly to anybody, I stand behind her 100%. That's me, Pastor Rob Scarborough. I'll fight, do whatever I need to do to stand behind her 100%. I'll bring the whole Calvary with me. The Word Church is behind her 100%. My listening audience, I believe, is behind her 100% because she did try, and she has tried, to wake up the mess that's been going on down in that school system. I'm standing behind her. I was having a conversation. I'm not going to get into it. I'll let them talk. But I'm going to say this. There's a lot of folks taking trips. They need to be taking a guilt trip. That's the trip they need to take. And I'm here to tell you that if she's going to get a workshop or whatever it is she's done, from what I understand, this is beyond normal. This is protocol. As you said, she has been approved by the correct authorities. And I want to know, is this some type of diversion? Is this some type of get back? Set up because of something that she's been doing to shake up the machine. Chris, I want you to talk about that name, Glenn Sturgeon, and some other things.
Okay.
Because you had some interesting things to say before.
I know that guy, Glenn. I presume that this is some sort of setup. And one thing I would like to say is it is true that this money was already approved, and I don't think either one of the two individuals that were targeted by Zoe even have spent their full allotment. If that's the rule and they're doing it, then I mean, what's new? They've been doing this for years and years. This is something that they're just setting up. And yeah, what about the superintendent to China? What about the other school board member getting back from New York City? So I think that this is they've used T.G. Epps as as kind of a political football since before she was even elected. They had that case, and that was getting into election fraud where Paul Goldman, Tony Troy, and Joe Morrissey took the case of T.G. Epps, who was running unopposed, to put her on a ballot. She would have been elected anyways because there was nobody else running, and to get that guy Mike Ryan, who was some hack candidate that the Democratic machine came to throw up against Dwight Jones because everybody knew that they were fixing and rigging the ballot before, during the petitioning process. So this is just more of the same. I will say, I think that once these individuals start rubbing shoulders, and I'm talking about T.G. Epps and Mamie Taylor, who I both personally like, as far as, face-to-face conversations and at least acknowledging some of what is being said more than others. That, people telling the truth that the government's fraudulent and everything's fixed. And I just really think that they want to target these people, and that they can make anybody look like a criminal when everybody is knocking on their door. And I will say one thing: if Mamie Taylor has any problem, or TGFs has any problem with Zoe knocking on their door any time further, give me a call. My phone number is 804-938-7773. Zoe and I, we go way back. I'm sure like I could fill up plenty of airtime with Zoe, and if Zoe needs any questions answered, and if Zoe, the hard-hitting reporter, wants to knock on people's door and say, "Oh my God, you took a $4,000 trip that was allotted." What about the trillions and quadrillions of dollars that the federal government's wasted? You ever see Zoe do any hard-hitting questions of Jeff Lacker, the president of the Federal Reserve Bank?
Because he's not that hard-hitting.
Or Tom Farrell, the president of Dominion Power? You see him knocking on their door? No, because he's a coward.
Yes, sir.
And he's a liar for a living.
Yes, sir.
And anything that persons and people watch on the television news, and I know this for an absolute verifiable fact, these people lie and are liars for a living, and they are knowingly doing it. And when I say that, I'm not just talking about Lorenzo Hall. I'm talking about every single news reporter that you can think of in the city, state, and across this country.
It is a distraction. It is a diversion. It's to get... Mamie Taylor's a fighter, but she's not a fighter that wants to fight about her personal life. She's not a fighter that wants to fight about the attention being on her. She's a fighter for these children. I know that. And I think this is something to get her, to scare her away. You ought to see it knocking on her door. And poor Mamie, she's like, yeah, and it just made me hot. Because I said, I wish they'd knock on mine. They knock on my door, then I'm not even going to respond with any of their questions. I'm just going to start naming all the crooks, and I'm going to start with the news station.
That's right.
And I guarantee they won't play that. I guarantee that won't air. And once, yes, sir, Dave, go ahead, brother.
Chris, and Christopher, like you were saying, she was targeted. That's just bottom line. We know that she had to have been targeted. It's been questions people have been asking, say, is this a target at Mamie Taylor for whatever reason? We've got to get it together. And Pastor Scarborough, you said it better than I could. She's a fighter for the children. And that's what she's going to do, fight for these children. But we need to, there are things that need to be removed out of her way. And I told her things will be removed out of her way. Lorenzo meant her no good. And I sent Lorenzo Hall a letter. I sent him a note. Because when I believe in someone and something, I'm going to stand till I can't stand no more, my friends. I have to stand alone. But I'm with Mamie Taylor. The 5th District is with Mamie Taylor. She has received emails, Facebook messages of support, because she did nothing wrong. And that's the first thing that Lorenzo said. They did nothing illegal.
Before you go, Dave, Brother Dave, before you go, let me say this. Tomorrow I got an hour. It's a short day. Thursday, we usually do rebroadcast because I'm on the radio in Norfolk. Let me say this to you right here and now. You have Pastor Green. He already knows he keeps me informed, pretty much keeps in contact. I'm letting you know now, publicly, in my absence, if I'm not even here on Thursday, you can have that time. Okay. So whatever y'all need, it's Mamie's. If she need it, you can have it. That's no question asked. I've already told Preston Brown came here and said it before I could tell him. And so I'm telling you, y'all got it. You got it. Even if you needed to come today to talk, we got plenty of time with me and Chris. Y'all could have done it. So I'm telling you here, that door is open. And I want to make it known to everybody out there in Radio Land. I don't push behind people. I don't subscribe to people. I don't get in bed with folks, so to speak. I don't play that game. Okay? I've never endorsed anybody. I said I believe in Preston Brown because I know Preston Brown. And I believe because I seen him fight against fight an uphill battle for me, number one, and for others that I know. Number two, let me make this clear. When it comes down to Mamie Taylor, I know her intention, and I know what she went in and began to do, and I knew they was after her when she first got in the door. I said, they'll do something. If they can't put weed on your front porch, under a pot, or do something, they're going to do something to twist you up. So I want you to know, And if she's listening today, Sister Taylor, we stand behind you 100%. You got all the mic you need. I'll fight with you. Whatever you need, you got it from Pastor Rob and our family. We love you. Brother Dave, got anything else they need to know?
That's it, Doc. I will be on your show soon. Once I have a day off, I need to get back and talk to you about some things and then bring the people up to date as to where we are.
No problem. Pastor Green got my personal number. Call me.
All right. Thank
All
you
right.
so much.
Yes, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a lot that we got to cover. That's why I keep bringing Chris back. And again, I'm going to ask him to come back publicly so you all can put it on your calendar again next Tuesday. This was kind of like a little bit off today because of the election and all that's going on, you can see. But I wanted to have you here because you're able to add to all of these concerns. Let's go to the phone line. There's another caller. Caller, you're on the air with Chris Dorsey.
Pastor Rob Cowboy here. How you doing, my friend?
Wonderful. How are you?
I'm just Tidewater area. I'm talking about the Petersburg area and Colonial Heights. It's a little slow down here. You know, we're not gonna make up. We're not gonna be real politicians live about it. But I'm just saying, please, man, please, sir, come on and get out. We get out work. Come on and support Mr. Brown. As I said before, Mr. Brown got endorsement of the largest black newspaper in the state of Virginia, not the city, but the state. That's the Richmond Voice. It's amazing. So we're just saying, please, man, please, sir. Again, you have to come out because, again, if you don't want to come out and vote, don't come tomorrow saying, I wish he would have won. We don't need anybody wishing. We need to vote President Brown in. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you, sir. 804-231-7685. Did you vote today? What are your thoughts on voting? Now, me and Chris Chris and I, we're going to get to the basis. Some of y'all are still wondering, why not vote? Somebody just posted on my page, by the way, Chris. You can see it. They want me to ask you, they're at work, but they're listening. They wanted me to ask you, why did you run for office? Make sure I got this right. Basically, what they said, and you can verify this, why did you run for office if you don't believe in voting, is what they said.
Right, that's an excellent question. I don't believe it. Well, it's not that I don't believe in voting, because I tend to not really believe one thing or another, and just make decisions based on critical thought and experience. And I announced that I was going to run for sheriff back in 2010, and I didn't really know what I know now. Back in 2010, I knew that the system was fixed and that everything was rigged, but I made the announcement, and it was for the purpose of running for office. I'm glad that was brought up, because I would like to point this out. And there were 4 candidates for office in the Richmond Sheriff's race, and not one of them, and I would say with the exception of myself and just using the common definition, not one of them campaigned. All of the debates were initiated, organized, and carried out, not exclusively by myself, because, there were other people like, Pastor Rob and Preston Brown, and For Colored Girls put on the People's Debate at the on Chamberlain Avenue. But they didn't even campaign. They didn't make any public statements. They didn't say what they were going to do. I went into great detail because I said I knew I wasn't going to win because it's rigged to begin with, of course, but I knew I wasn't going to win because I didn't have the, I had, I don't know, a couple $100 worth of campaigning to do. But the thing is, what I'm saying, it doesn't matter if I'm saying it or somebody else. I was clear. When I'm sheriff, the sheriff is the top law enforcement agent under the law. Nobody, the current sheriff, so-called sheriff, C.T. Wood, he doesn't operate like that. He's a pawn and a puppet. He doesn't have the intellectual capacity to function in his job if he were to actually do his job. He doesn't know what the Constitution says. He's not a moral person. He's too immoral to actually carry it out. But that's the same with all the other folks. So nobody actually campaigned. Nobody wanted to talk to the people. And nobody wanted to address anything. And so what does that tell you? That the guy who won allegedly, overwhelmingly, did nothing but hide from all the other candidates, didn't even have respect enough for the people to even come out and make any sort of statements. And so what kind of system is that? Getting beyond the vote flipping and the dogs and cats on the voter rolls voting for various candidates, getting beyond all the just stuff that you can't get beyond. It's the block. It's all fixed. Getting beyond that, I was simply saying, if I become the sheriff of Richmond, the people are going to be in charge. We are first going to target, under the law, by all and any means necessary, the Federal Reserve Bank. We are going to go in there. We are going to audit the Fed. We are going to carry out Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution and Title 31 of U.S. Code, which calls for a yearly audit of all the assets of the Federal Reserve Bank. Guess how many times it's been done? 0. Guess what? The whole institution's unconstitutional and unlawful to begin with.
You were going to use your position as sheriff, if you had been elected, to go and do those things.
Well, it depends on who has the authority and who has more guns.
You're saying
under
you can do
the
that.
militia. The militia said, under Virginia law, the militia is the highest form of government. Read that. If you don't like militia, that just means that you want to abdicate all your rights. We have been talked on your radio show and a number of other radio shows about making the Richmond Sheriff's Department a home guard militia, which would be the law, because we are in a Federal Reserve Bank city. And if the Federal Reserve Bank thinks that they're going to want to stop us, well, that means we always win, because if the law says if the government, the government and any military power shall always be subservient to the militia. So if the city of Richmond or the Federal Reserve Bank police has 5 MRAPs, that means the militia needs 10 MRAPs. I'm just saying, this is what is going to happen eventually. Either it can happen now or when it's already too late and everything is in chaos.
Now, for those who are listening, y'all keep hearing Chris talk about the first thing. Now, for him to say that the priority, his priority or list of priorities, at the top of that list was a visit to the Federal Reserve Bank. For those of y'all who don't know why he's putting such an emphasis on the Federal Reserve Bank,
nothing else matters.
Because I'm gonna stand with him and say this: he's exactly 100% right. Because I believe that everything that's happening is a result of the start. It's a starting point with the Federal Reserve Bank. And Chris, I would like you to if we could just take a quick moment to share. If you could add, just kind of throw in there, what the Federal Reserve Bank means, because people don't know why are we against it so much.
The Federal Reserve Bank is a privately owned, foreign-controlled central bank that controls in every single way the economy and every institution of the United States government and really around the world.
So because it says federal, that doesn't mean that it's our bank.
But it is definitely not our bank.
Yes, sir.
And we have documented this, and I have correspondence with the legal counsel for the Richmond Federal Reserve Bank, and they're verifying this information in a letter. You can find it online. I mean, I post it all the time.
Now listen, Chris, because I just want to get these questions out about this Federal Reserve Bank. So then our next question is, what is the problem? The problem, and what you're saying today, is that there's private ownership.
Right.
And that these private owners are somewhere some greedy individual people.
That's right.
Who loan money to this, what we call a country.
Right.
And they loan it to us, which is why we have something called a national debt.
Right.
That debt is the debt that you hear politicians always screaming about we got to get rid of. Chris?
That's never going to happen because there is no money. It's only debt. Money is debt. There is nothing else.
Even when you have money, what you think is money paper, you have a $100 bill, you have nothing more than a...
It says it on there. This note is legal tender for all debts, public and private.
Which means that when they get up and everybody's talking about rock the vote, And these politicians are standing up, bouncing the ball back and forth in front of people, saying literally the most ignorant things they could say about we're going to get rid of the national debt.
Yeah.
It is impossible to get rid of a national debt as long as you have a Federal Reserve or central banking system.
It's fractional reserve banking, and it's based on debt. There's nothing else but debt involved in it. The only thing the Federal Reserve Bank does is that monetizes that debt. It turns debt into money. That's it. So basically, when you go to a bank and you say I want a $10,000 loan, the bank might only have $1,000 on hand, but it's been given the magical ability from the Federal Reserve Bank to create the additional $9,000 out of thin air and charge you interest on all of it, even though they didn't even have it before you walked in the door.
Which is interesting. So, by the way, for those who are listening to what Chris is saying, do a search. You will find out that it is against the law. It is against the law for any bank to loan anyone money. What happens when you go to banks? You're not loaned money. You have just heard from Chris Dorsey's mouth. He's explained so perfectly that no one is loaned money because, after all, the whole concept of a bank is, again, I start a bank with your money. You give me $1,000, and then here comes some Joe Blow who wants to borrow $10,000. How can you borrow $10,000 when, number one, there's only $1,000, and that's not even your money? That's my money.
That's right.
I don't want you to give my money away. So what they have done is they have made an imaginary form of what you all call money. That's nothing more than IOUs, debt, and it's enslaving our people so that when they loan us, because remember, they also are in charge of the printing of the money. Is that correct? They are in charge of, what's it called, the Bureau of Engraving and the printing, the producing of what you all call money. The Federal Reserve Bank is connected and in charge of that as well. Is that true?
They are in charge of everything to do with creating the money, printing the money, regulating the value of the money, and regulating everything that the banks and other financial institutions do. They are in charge of it all, and basically, we could go into greater detail, but through something called the Basel III Accord at this point is the agreement.
Do a search for Basel III.
Basel III and the Bank for International Settlements. They are controlled by the Bank for International Settlements, and just real quick, so as not to get too confusing, the Federal Reserve Bank and other institutions like Bundesbank and Netherlands Bank and Bank of England, they own the Bank for International Settlements, which controls everything that each one of those banks does. So that just shows you they're all the same institutions and individuals and families, and they do what they want. They create their own rules, and Russia, China, the United States, Mexico, every country in the world, they all coordinate everything. Nobody's an enemy. Everybody's not a double agent or a triple agent. They're only an agent of the international banking cartel.
We got a caller, Chris. Let's go to the line. Caller, you've been holding. You're on the line with Chris Dorsey.
Hey, Pastor Rob, this brother Northside again. So basically, at the end of the day, and it just hit me, that banks ain't nothing but a Ponzi scheme.
Well, yeah, it's a
That's
ripoff.
It's a pyramid scheme.
That's good.
And it's on the bills. And like I said, everything is, they got to show you everything. And this is something maybe I want to get into about, somebody who wants to get a very surface level comprehension of how this kind of black magic works, or evil magic, or whatever people want to call it. But it is the Kabbalistic magic, is they have to show you everything that they're doing, because the people don't get as much power unless they absolutely show their entire hand, because they have to get everybody to go along with it and consent. It says on there, this is legal tender for all debts, public and private. So it says this is just an IOU and a debt note. And it has on the back, it has the all-seeing eye, or the so-called all-seeing eye. It's also called the Eye of Horus. On top of a pyramid. A pyramid.
There's your pyramid scheme.
Pyramid scheme, and the all-seeing eye, or the mono eye, the one eye, the third eye, mono eye. It's on there. That is, instead of people getting spiritual enlightenment, them getting all the artificial things that they would feel through actual being a human being, they get from money.
Notice you said, Chris, you said something so good. You said mono.
I'm
Do
gonna
you-
take up this.
All right, when you hear mono, I want to piggyback on what Chris is saying. This is what I wanted to happen. Mono is dealing also with, you're dealing with lunar, or you're dealing
Yeah,
with lunar
that's
codes.
right, that's right.
And mono and mint are two terms where we get the term money.
Right.
Money, you hear about mint, M-I-N-T, and mon. That prefix mon, it means money. That's why, that's why the color of the dollar bill is green. It's mint green. Okay? And that's where that term comes from. When you're dealing with that illuminating eye, you hear people who don't understand the stuff that me and Chris are talking about, and somebody's ignorant, we call them being green. Why do you think you call them being green? Because that's what it's dealing with again, that lunar occult. But go ahead.
It goes a little deeper than that too,
Go
because
ahead.
it's the original paper for the Federal Reserve notes is blue, because then we can get into not only the
Masonic,
moon,
right.
the moon elements of the money, but we can also get into the admiralty and the like the water allegories
Right.
to the money, because it's what is a bank? A bank's on a river,
On both sides of the
on
river.
both sides of the river,
Right.
and
Directing the flow of current.
right, direct. And what do we have? What is money? It's currency.
Yes, sir.
And then we get back to electric, because it's all, like, a lot of this stuff is just an allegory of water, and it gets back to Admiralty law and the fact that we were birthed like a ship out of our mother's water, and that basically that's what they say. It's like nothing's changed.
When you go to court, while you're still talking about that current, you go to a circuit.
Circuit, yeah, that's right.
More terms. It's making sense if you really think about it, Chris. You're putting us on a road where people just will begin to try to think. They're going to start to put more words, which have meanings. Words are powerful
Right.
with what you're saying. Go ahead.
This is not my information. I have heard all of this information, and each second that goes by I'm on the air, I'm always hearing from smarter people than myself. So this is not my information. This is just the information. This isn't my opinion. This is what's happening. So when we talk about the so-called money, we can get beyond the fact that it's all debt. There will never be any end to the national debt. All money is debt. Look at what your life is as far as money goes. And when one sees the stock market shoot up, it's down a little today, but it's been at a record high continuously. So when it's at a record high, I'll tell you, my monetary outlook is not good. The economy hasn't turned around for me since 2008. It seems to me that the price of everything is going up, and wages are stagnant. But again, I want to get beyond this, because I want to talk to people on a serious level, saying this is all a scam. If you participate in this in any way, you're fighting a losing battle. You're complicit in your own demise. And when you are so-called, have a job that you go to, what do they call that? Employed. Who's ploy? Not your ploy.
That's good.
If it's your ploy, then it's not working for you, unless you're 15 to 20% of the population, which segues into another thing I'd like to touch on about when we are going to get to real solutions to the problems. And this is going to come when the masses of the people say, here it is. It's not about black and white or brown or any of the not really accurate ways to describe, people's skin tones. It's going to be about the 80 to 85% of the population, or a critical mass of those 80 to 85% of the population that does not benefit in any way from the current political or monetary system, and we are going to have to go at the 15 to 20% of the persons who do benefit from this. There are persons who benefit from this, and they are benefiting from your suffering. They are benefiting from you. They are carrying out usury on you. And we can segue to this, and I view the Bible as a law book because that's obviously what it is. It's a number of other things, but it's a law book. And what does the Bible say about usury? What does the Virginia Constitution say about usury? What does the USA Constitution say about usury? Okay, it wasn't consistent, and the people were, hypocritical who wrote the USA and Virginia Constitution, but the ones who used the law, they weren't victimized by usury. So, again, we have to abolish usury. That's the big thing. The Fed, that's the vehicle for the usury. But the usury is the problem. And that's basically, we are all used as slaves, debt slaves, to the persons who own this society through their leverage of the Federal Reserve Bank. It's that simple. We need to start surrounding these persons' houses with pitchforks and torches. We need to start showing up at the General Assembly. Hey, you can see us standing in front of the Federal Reserve Bank and the IRS with automatic weapons, saying how much of a criminal all of these individuals are, saying, just wait until we get enough people out here. This is the end game. This is it. Whether, Chris Dorsey has anything to do with it, or whether it's somebody 15 years from now. That's not me. It's gonna happen. It's the only way. It's the only way. Nothing else is gonna change anything. The system can't be reformed. Getting 5 more individuals, and Preston Brown, I pray that he gets selected and elected and serves in the General Assembly. But it's going to even take more than that.
A whole lot more.
A whole lot more than that, because the system is so corrupt, because they have backstop after backstop. They will have every plan on how to neutralize his political agenda as soon as he gets in there. But they won't even let it go that far, because they have backstop after backstop. They want to stop you at every step of the way. And just to get back to running for elected office again, I would never run for elected office again. That is thankless. It puts a target on your back. The more you do what you think is right, the more they target you, the more one reaches out to, the people, the more they smack you in the face. It is fairly thankless, and I really, I could segue back into all sorts of things, but I have more of a dislike for the general public after I ran for office.
Let me say this. Thank you, Chris. Let me say this. Too, I'm on here quiet because I'm over here going back and forth on Facebook with some folks. Let me say this to you people of color just for a minute. Y'all can miss me with the comments about it's my obligation. Somebody just commented, and I feel so sorry for you. My heart goes, I'm not going to call your name. I don't know you. But I'm looking at the comments. Man, you just put, just go and vote. It's not a right. It's your obligation. People died. Listen to me. Let me clear this up right here and right now. It's no obligation of mine to do anything. And especially, don't pull a race card on me either, because let me clear this up for you right here and now. I share nothing. We have none of the same views. You are lost. And you people of color better wake up. You're lost when you talk about who died for what. My heart goes out to the people that died for freedom because they died for the wrong reason. My heart goes out to the people who were attacked by dogs because of a lunch counter sit-in. Because I assure you, being bit by the dog did not get them the ability to eat lunch with a white person. I don't know why. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Miss me with the race card, because again, y'all didn't change people's mind about you as black people, and then all of a sudden they had a heart-to-heart change. That's not the case. They let you come in their restaurants because they know you spend money too. And they love money more than they hate you.
Yeah.
So miss me with all of the stupid comments about, oh, black people died for you and you're not voting. Black people did nothing. Jesus died for me. Now, that's how I believe. Now, I need to make this clear. I feel sorry for my elders who thought that they were making a difference. Martin Luther King, I said it, I'm going to say it. This is one of my favorite things to say. He did not die because he helped black people. Stop it. He died because he got too big and he stuck his nose in international affairs.
Yeah.
And when he used his political power to tell people get out of the war, they chopped his head off immediately.
Kennedy too. Everybody
All of
else.
those people, Kennedy the whole nine, they stuck their nose. So don't come hit me with the black man. I'm obligated because my grandma. Let me tell you something. I tell my grandma today, don't do it. You don't have to do it.
Yeah.
And even though I don't tell anybody else not to vote, that's my grandmother. I tell her, let me tell you why. And I'm going to move on. But I need to make this clear to you. Please, when you use this card about, when you pull this card out about racism and about these things. First of all, black people, I had Al Sharpton live on the air. Yeah, live. And I destroyed him when he came to Richmond.
Yes.
Because what I said to Al Sharpton is, you're coming to Cedar Street Baptist Church telling all these black people they need to vote for Barack, President Obama.
Yep.
Why don't you tell these black folks live on the air, y'all heard it. I said, why don't you tell them that they don't even have a permanent right to vote? They're still operating on an act, an amendment, rather. And man, they got so quiet and he couldn't say nothing. You know what Al Sharpton said? He's right. But he wasn't going to tell people that. Why don't you tell them that President Obama's a black man, but he didn't even take time in his whole first term to make sure black people could have a right to vote? But yet you want me to vote for him because he's black. That's stupidity. I'm not a part of it, and I don't have an obligation to do nothing but stay black and die. That's the only thing I'm going to do. One thing for sure, I'm going to die one day. That's the only thing guaranteed to me. All the rest of this stuff, picking between the two losers, let me tell you, somebody asked a good question, Chris, and I'm going to repeat it. The woman in the beginning that posted on my Facebook page says, what would happen if nobody vote? Well, let me just throw this out there. I want to give you two scenarios.
Stay the same.
Here's two scenarios. Let's say every last capable person goes out and votes, which we know that isn't happening, but let's just say every able-bodied legal person votes, okay? Millions, okay? What's going to be the result? I'll tell you. Let's use the presidency since that's what most people are aware of anyway. Okay, you got Romney, you got Barack. Let's just take those two. If every last person get out and vote, guess what? You're going to end up with one of those two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, let's think about this for a minute. Well, let's take the other opposite end of the spectrum. If I take every last person and no one goes to vote, I mean, nobody votes, not even one single person votes,
Still the same here.
and you still got the same two choices, you still end up with either Romney
That's
or
right.
Barack.
And
So then my question then is, tell me again, why does my vote matter? Why does it matter if either way I'm left to take what they've already offered me?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Chris.
and they're both going to do the exact same
Same
thing,
Right.
and they really are just puppets. They're actors on television. They're, maybe CIA trained, sophisticated, actors, but they are actors, like Hollywood actors nonetheless. They don't make the decisions. They don't print the money. Okay, so how about this one then? Okay, so if people want to go down any sort of, racial divide or issue, George Bush didn't invade Africa with ground troops. I mean, Barack Obama is doing that right now.
Yeah.
So, and they're saying that it's to combat a disease that seems to be out of the news the past several days, unless I'm missing things, or it's dwindling in the news coverage.
We bring the military for sickness.
Right. There was no doctors, but plenty of weaponized killing machines and brainwashed of our less intelligent, already dumbed down American public going over there to wreck shop on behalf of something called AFRICOM. So I wish people would think before they start, talking nonsense about stuff we've already covered. All these whoever is elected, they're just puppets.
That's it.
They are servants of Jewish bankers. I should say so-called Jewish bankers. Follow the money. That's it. They're not really even Semitic or they don't have any claim to Palestine, but there are dual Israeli citizens that control the Federal Reserve Bank. It's not Jesuits. It's not they're crypto Jews anyways, but it's Jewish bankers, international Zionists. They own all the media. They control the government. Do a Google search for Bill Clinton yarmulke, Barack Obama yarmulke, Mitt Romney yarmulke, Chris any button you can think of that you think is some sort of good politician, and you will see who they serve. They serve the Lubovichers. You will see them wearing a yarmulke. You won't see me wearing a yarmulke. You may see me in a church. You will definitely see me with a Bible in my hand. I have been baptized. One will never see me with a yarmulke. And one will see every single elected official who puts the interest of a foreign country and Rothschild Zionist Israel over the interest of the United States, and you'll see that the diamond trade, international prostitution, the organ trade business, the international banks operate on Rothschild Boulevard in Tel Aviv, and that's another place to look. I mean, the Inner Temple of London, that's Rothschild controlled too, but it's all been figured out for you. What are you going to do about it?
Not to mention, you know what? Let me say this too, Chris. We got 10 minutes, and we're gonna open the phone lines up. But let me say this: 2 hours have flown quickly. But let me say this to all those out there, too. Just going back again, because I mean they're on Facebook, going in about this situation. I'm gonna say this about to piggyback on your original point about President Obama and going into Africa. Okay, I need to say this. I need y'all to understand this. And you need to hear this from a black man who is not an Uncle Tom, who isn't sold into slavery or however you want to put my mindset. Listen to me. I need you to hear this today. President Obama is not put in office to help black people. That's number one. Get it away. Stop trying to get a hookup. You don't get a brother hookup from President Obama. You didn't put him there. So he's not there to help you. He's not there to satisfy you because you did not put him there. You didn't even vote him in. If it was based upon popular vote, it wouldn't be enough of us. Let's just be honest about it. I need to say this because when those children were killed, allegedly, in Colorado, okay, predominantly white children, he was on TV touching his eye. You know how you touch your eye because you take a tear, you try to make a tear come? He was touching his eye, crying. But he's from, supposed to be, Chicago, I believe it is.
10 murders a week at least.
It's a battle zone. I mean, they're getting 30 bodies in a weekend.
I guess that's more accurate.
And in some cases. Yeah. And he doesn't even bother to deal with them. But, so what does that tell you, black people? Get off of it. He ain't the answer. He isn't. Listen, I'm not looking for a color. A color is not a qualification. Black is a color. It's not a qualification. Wake up. And this is just me talking.
Well, also, like, when you talk about Chicago and Barry Soetoro, also known as Barack Obama, all one has to do is look at why he was in the White House. Who was his chief of staff? Rahm Emanuel, who's now the mayor of Chicago, along with Bathhouse Barry, is a member of Man's Country, a gay men's bathhouse in Chicago. That is how they leveraged Barry. That's how they leveraged Barry Soetoro, a.k.a. Barack Obama. And he and Rahm Emanuel, along with many, if not
Could you
most
say that again?
politicians.
Could you say what you just said again for those who are listening? I want you to repeat it. I'm not
Most
crazy. I want you to
politicians,
hear it.
including the so-called president of the United States, which he is the president of the United States,
Right.
and the previous president of the United States, George Bush,
Right.
Bill Clinton, they are homosexuals. Barack Obama is the member of a gay bathhouse in Chicago called Man's Country. When he lived in Washington, D.C., he and Rahm Emanuel would have their gay escapades in Rahm Emanuel's townhouse. This is how many of these politicians, but in this case, it's Barack Obama, this is how they are compromised. They are compromised
Right.
because many of them are traumatized through mind control, and that comes from childhood sexual trauma, and this also leads to, in a lot of cases, these like homosexual mind control politicians that one will see anywhere.
There is an
everywhere.
agenda. There is a homosexual agenda that we're going to talk about too.
Yes.
That's being pushed in the government, through the government, all the way down to the school systems that need to be addressed.
The CEO of Apple is treated like he is some sort of hero because of his sexual preference, and anyone who says anything bad about it is that's the wrong thing to say. Like if persons want to get upset about minorities who are getting the short end of the stick, I'll tell you one minority one can never ever say anything bad about. I mean, not just the Jews.
Right.
Homosexuals, if you say anything that's
you better not say nothing.
And of course I would not say anything negative. But
By the
if
way-
I say I don't believe that this is, or I don't think that this is the right way, or I don't think this is the proper message to send to the public, or I think that probably this is something that should be behind closed doors and it shouldn't be out in the public, then it's, oh, you hate. You're a hater. Oh, I don't think the government should
And
mandate.
it started off with them saying, we just want you to let us be. And went from that, and it became
Amen.
aggressive where they're now pushing their agenda upon our children as opposed to us just letting them. It was
They've been
very
doing
sneaky.
it for decades. They've been pushing the agenda. They've been recruiting out of the elementary schools. And what I'm going to say is I have no choice but to let these people alone. I have no choice because that is the law. But what I'm saying is there is an agenda that's being put out there through Richmond City Council. I mean, that's one of the number one organizations that if anybody says anything bad and they are pushing forward, they were pushing forward unconstitutional legislation through that body. The fixed election for however it happened, there was a constitutional amendment banning what they call gay marriage. But what I'm saying is, if you're gay and you say you're married, you're married. And if you're straight and you say you're married, you're married. What does the government have to do with it? They don't care about your marriage. They want your tax money.
And that's what they look at it as, a business agreement, which is why when
It
you
is a
get
business
married,
agreement.
what do they call your partner? They call you a partner. Think about it. That's what when you get married, your spouse is your partner or your mate.
So
And
we're talking to persons who want the government to mandate, sanctify their personal relationships.
Right.
For what purpose? What do you get out of it?
Right.
What do you get out of all of these things? I mean, and we could be talking about the Redskins game and spending all your money on shirts and hats and tickets to the game. We could be talking about the government and how you're knocking on doors for Tim Kaine or Mark Warner or Trammell or Brad or what? You don't get anything. And I know this from experience. I've worked on campaigns. They don't give you a thing. They want to use you. Don't fall for it. Stand up. Say, voting is a joke. What is going to change things is finding out where these individuals live who control the institutions that run the government and surrounding their houses with pitchforks and torches, and I'll carry. I mean, I'll lawfully carry my firearm. But if people don't want the firearm and they want the pitchfork and they want the torch. If they want to just stand in front of their houses with a sign. If you see them out in public, I saw Betsy Carr last night out at the grocery store. I see a lot of these elected officials out, and what I do, they act like they want to be like my friend. I'm not interested in them being my friend. They hear what I'm saying. They listen to the radio. They know what they're doing. I just look at them with contempt. I despise these people. I despise what they do because they can do what they want. But they are making my life more difficult